why Islam is a bad idea. That's the topic of my current series of podcasts on Fishing for Men with Mac. I decided to do short summaries of those podcasts in a small video that will be added to this Facebook page, BibLife Talk. Please like this page and then you'll receive these videos as they come out. And today I'm just going to do a short first one. They will always be short, but this is the first one. And today I'm just going to be talking about the story of Islam, how it came to be. I'm saying that Islam is a bad idea. That does not mean that Muslims are bad people. It just means that the religion, its foundation, where it comes from and its ideas, is not a good idea. And the moment I speak about Islam, then maybe some of you are already bored. Some people are excited. They want to know more. Let me tell you why it is important to talk about this. At this moment, as I speak, Islam seems to be the fastest growing religion in the world. There are 2.3 billion Christians, or people who say they're Christians, on the planet. 1.8 billion people claim to be Muslims. By the year 2060, it has been estimated that there will be more Muslims on the planet than there will be Christians. And there are various reasons for that. Islam is growing rapidly. There are reasons why it's growing, and I'll do a future podcast on that. That's a topic for another day. But I wouldn't say that Islam is growing because of good things. For example, just across the valley from here, I met a wonderful young man from Malawi. He came to South Africa on a bus for a better future, to have a job to provide for his family. When he arrived here, a family member had organized the job for him. When he got into meeting him, climbing off the bus, he was told that his boss is a Muslim. He would have to convert to Islam. That would mean that he would change his name, that he would have to change his clothing, that he would be picked up to say the various prayers, especially on Fridays, and that he'd have to change his diet, that he'd had to learn the Arabic language. Here this guy was coming from Malawi. He's a Christian. He comes to South Africa. He's come a long way. He's paid a lot of money to get here. He's insecure in a different country, and he's forced to take on a faith. Otherwise, he loses his employment and he has to go back to Malawi with money that he doesn't have. So, in my opinion, that's one of the reasons why Islam is a bad idea, and that's also one of the reasons why Islam is growing. But today I don't really want to talk too much about that. I just want to focus this video on how Islam started, because we want to start at the root, right? So it started through a man by the name of Muhammad. Now, Muhammad was born in 570 AD. That's about 574 years after Jesus. He was born in a town called Makkah. Today we call it Mecca. And what was interesting about this town was that there was a cube that was a big cube, it's about 13 meters high, that was dedicated to a specific god by the name of Hubal. This cube's name is Kaaba, Kaaba. Here's an image for you. All right, so this cube was in this town, and the main god being worshipped there was Hubal. Hu means spirit, Baal means master or lord. So he was the spirit lord, or the master of spirits, or the spirit of the master spirit. Anyways, what's interesting for me about Hubal is that the word Baal is found in the Old Testament of the Christian scriptures often. It was a pagan god that was worshipped, and so you could almost say that this was an outflow of Baal and a type of form of Baal worship. There were 360 different idols around this cube that the people worshipped. Now, Muhammad obviously grew up in this town. He was a shepherd boy. He eventually became a merchant, a salesperson, a businessman. He met a lady, Khadija, who was 15 years older than him. He married her. Later on, he married 12 other women as well. So that's just some history of his life. But really, when the story of Islam started was when Muhammad didn't like. During the month of Ramadan, the people of the town of Mecca would go and they would worship these idols in various ways. They were quite dedicated to these gods, and Muhammad didn't like that. So he would rather choose to go up into the mountains and pray to the one true God of heaven. I think that's the idea. And he would go into a cave and pray. So in the year 610 AD, when he was about 40 years old, apparently the angel Gabriel appeared to him and told him to read. but Muhammad couldn't read. Any case, the angel seems to have shown him stuff, enabled him to read, and then he recited those things. And for the next 23 odd years until the end of his life, he would recite things that the angel Gabriel gave him from his God, which his name was Allah. And his friends then eventually wrote down on pieces of material these words, and then after his death, these words were compiled into what we understand today as the book, the Quran book, which really means recitation. When he came out of that cave, he started preaching and telling people, started with his own family, saying that there's only one true God and that these gods here that these people are worshipping are no gods at all, etc., etc. And so he started gathering a following. About 10 years after his first encounter in the cave, his uncle had died, his wife had died, and he went to the Kaaba to go and pray. And while he was there, the angel Gabriel appeared to him again, and he put him on a horse that could fly, and he flew on this horse to Jerusalem, where he met with all the other prophets that ever lived, inclusive of Jesus apparently, and then he was taken up into heaven, where he met Allah, and Allah told him that he's got to pray 5 times a day, and that he must stay strong. And so he came back to Mecca, and then tension started to arise. People didn't like this idea of him worshipping this other God and what he stood for and what he preached. And so many of the Muslims then fled. Muslims were his followers, and so they fled. And so Muhammad and his guys, they also fled to the north to another town, which we today understand as Medina. And then wars broke out because Muhammad started gathering an army, and the people of Mecca had an army, and there were about 3 wars that took place. Eventually, Muhammad had a bigger army. He marched down with 10,000 people to Mecca. The people just surrendered, the Meccans. And then he went to the Kaaba. He broke to pieces all the idols there. He took down some of the statues dedicated to the other gods. And he dedicated that temple to Allah. And that's how Islam started. That's even why today people do the Hajj. They go to Mecca and they go walk around that cube 7 times. At the core of Islam is the Shahada, which is something that a baby is taught to say when he's born in the Islamic faith. This is it. I testify that there's no God but Allah, and I testify that Muhammad is a messenger of God. That if you believe that and you say that, then you are a Muslim. So think about this. Think about the story. How do you feel about it? Do you think it's true? Do you think it's accurate? Next week, I'll tap into the life of Muhammad and ask the question, is he worth somebody following? Please like this page, and then you can receive these videos on a weekly basis. Cheers, guys. Be cool.